Actually, Frank, since you're on the phone, you want me to run things for you with your
Oh,
permission?
the chairman isn't here?
The chairman is not here.
Yeah, you could probably run it. Yeah, no problem. If you don't mind, I could probably swing at it myself, but it's up to you.
Or you can have one of the BPAC members do it.
Any volunteers?
I can do it if you like.
All right.
Sure, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. This is Natalie. I see some new faces. I'd like to call to order the June
Nope. Yep.
meeting
2nd.
of the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Alrighty, I'll mark Chair Thagov is absent for now. Vice Chair McCauley,
Here.
Committee Member Bowen,
Here.
Committee Member Chang,
Here.
Committee Member Gore,
Present.
and Committee Member Guzman.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you all.
A review of the agenda. Are there any questions or additions that anyone would like to add or have about the agenda? Hearing none, I'll move on to the next item. Oral communications. Do we have any public participation today? Any letters or notice?
Through the chair, there are no members of the public here to make any comments, and I'll defer to Catherine if we have any emails.
No emails in the last month.
Okay. On to the next item, approval of the minutes from our main meeting. May I have a motion from the floor to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the May meeting.
Okay, any discussions or changes that anyone would like to make? Then may I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? I abstain because I wasn't here. And then on to our administrative business. When on the agenda for today is the Bicycle for All program, which is presented by our city manager, Mike Furchell. Hi, Mike.
Hey, thank you, Natalie. And I really, really appreciate Arian's background. I got to get that. But hi, I'm Mike Futrell. I'm the city manager. First, thank you for your service on the BPAC. It is an exciting time to be in that world, not just because we're writing a brand new master plan for bicycle and pedestrians as part of our general plan, but also because of just the greater appreciation for walking and biking, funding being available to construct first class bicycle paths. And I think it's really coming into its own. So I appreciate your service here and know that it's greatly appreciated what you do. So, with that in mind, that bicycling is really a great way of life. I've begun bicycling to work at City Hall. I have a proposal that I can't take credit or blame for. A council member approached me about it and said, I'd like the city to explore this idea. And I said, well, let me bring it to the BPAC and see what they think and if they would be willing to take a more active role in an actual project that we would support with city staff, potentially city dollars. But let's run through it first. Chris, I'd like to share my screen. Do I have that capability?
Yes, sir, you do.
You rock. I've just got a short PowerPoint. So let me get this into mode here. There we go. So setting forth this vision that every child, however you define that, whether that's 4 years old or 20, has a bike and is trained to safely use that bike. So there are barriers, and this is what a council member was talking with me about. Bikes are expensive. If you're working a 15-hour a day, $15 an hour job, it takes over 8 hours for you to make $130, and that's before taxes. So a lot of kids don't have bikes because they just are expensive. And this is just some I pulled off randomly. But you can get a decent bike for $200. But for many families, that is beyond what they can do. But other communities, if you look around, have created programs and they've branded them. Every child deserves a bike, all kids bike. There's a number of cities that have come together and decided this is something we want to do. We want to make sure that every child in our community has an opportunity to have a bike, to get trained on the bike, to have a bike helmet and enjoy it. And the slogan at the bottom, I take no credit for, it came from one of these programs, but I believe this, that it transforms lives one bike at a time. I can remember you're somebody if you have a bike. And if you don't, well, you're not. So here is kind of the end. Can the BPAC adopt this vision and move to action, design a program, raise money, which we would help with, that's not scary, and then find a way through that program to distribute bikes, locks, and helmets, and then let's put in place some sort of a formal bike training program. If you can remember back in the day, maybe where you grew up, I know where I grew up, they had bike rodeos. They had other ways that would attract kids and their bikes so you could train them on proper bike protocol and stay safe. But when we look at going forward, there's no question that there will be a lot more bike riders and a lot more construction of safer bike paths. And we should encourage that for a lot of reasons: health, climate safety, just a child's self-esteem to be able to have a bike and move around with their peers. So I do think it is the right direction to consider why kids don't have bikes. Can we come up with a solution? And then let's have fun with this and give away some bikes, train some folks, and then train them on how to use the bikes. I can recall in a previous city where I was the city manager, we had the mayor's bike day, and over hundreds of people would show up with their bikes and go biking with the mayor. That was kind of a fun thing to do. So I just throw this out to see if you have an interest. I don't believe it's a lot of work. You can say no. That is perfectly fine. That no, we're not equipped to do this. But there's no better place, I think, for me to kind of share this vision, get your input, and see if one or more of you are willing to volunteer some time with Chris to put something together to maybe bring some joy into kids' lives in South San Francisco. And who knows, we'll create some lifelong bike riders, which would be awesome if we could do that. So that's all I have to say. I just wanted to introduce the concept and get your feedback tonight. And so I would welcome any comments or questions.
Thanks, Mike. I have a comment. So I think I would be interested in helping this because as a child, like bikes is a great opportunity for, if you're a child, you're having other problems. Bikes is a great escape, especially for fun. I do like to say, as a child, maybe the training bike riders, I don't know if that's the right approach. Maybe like one way I would think about it is like, making bike a vehicle fun, right? So maybe targeting this as like creating like a bike park, like a skate park type of situation where
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids will want to be involved as opposed to like taking them to a classroom and that situation. But like, if they have a bike park that's a safe venue that they could feel, like where these bikes could be at, right? Like they go to the local
Sure.
bike park and you're like, oh, you don't have a bike, you want to borrow one to go on this bike park. That type of situation might be more fruitful.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess that's why they called it a bike rodeo back in my day. And they did have fun things, they had obstacle courses and tried to make it, less a classroom.
Here's a link from the city of Temecula. They just created this thing called the
I'm gonna
Pump
stop
Track.
sharing.
But yeah, I pasted a link in the chat, in the Zoom chat, that the city of Temecula recently did. I think to a pretty good success. And it's not, I would say this would be something that'd be great in
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the Orange Park, right? Because Orange Park has a lot of space available for something like this. Or any of the parks, right? We have a lot of parks in South City, a lot of areas where this could be.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's for kids, adults, like anyone could safely ride these things. Then for scooters, bicycles, anything.
Well, I can certainly take that feedback. That's something I can talk with Park and Rec about.
Yeah.
We are starting a new master plan for Orange Memorial Park. You may know
great.
there's some really big renovations taking place right now. So it's a good time to think about all that space in the back and what is the future of that. So I'll make sure this gets included.
Cool. Yeah, Mike, how could we be more helpful? Is it the planning part of it? Is it the raising money part, or like what's the thing that needs help?
I think the first is just the planning, Tommy.
Okay.
I think put your heads together and put pencil to paper, and it doesn't have to be you don't need a PhD. You just say what makes common sense. How do we get to a point where we can give bikes away? You may want to think about age range. Do you want to work at the 4-year-old range, or maybe you just want to, hey, when someone gets into middle school, that's when we do it. And work out a budget. Say, well, how many kids are there in town? Any idea how many of those kids have bikes? How would we find that out, Chris? Is there some way? I don't know. There might be some way to get a ballpark figure of how big an issue is this. Is it a couple of hundred bikes or a couple of thousand bikes? And then say, well, if it's this cost, this is how much money that would take. Well, maybe that's too big to start with. Maybe you think, let's just focus in one area as a pilot program. Maybe pick a neighborhood or a school as a pilot program, see how that would work. Well, then, okay, well, how do you do it? Do they just show up and you give them a bike, or do they have to fill out paperwork, or how does that work? And through those continuously asking questions, I think you'll be able to write effectively a plan. Okay, here's what we're going to try, and this we're going to address, and here's who's going to be impacted. Here's how much we think it's going to cost, and here's kind of a notional timeline. Then we can meet again and talk about fundraising. I think this is the kind of exciting idea that would get a lot of private donations from foundations, from biotechs. It hits all the right buttons. It hits sustainability and climate change. It hits health and fitness. It hits mental sustainability with, I do think it means a lot to someone that has their own bike and take care of it. So I think we can raise the funds if we have a solid plan of here's what we're trying to do. Here's kind of the scope of the problem. Then once you're through that and you're through the funding, you get to the fun stage of actually setting something up and getting the community involved, and they come and you get to see a kid get a bike for the first time. That's truly awesome. So yeah, to answer your question, long answer to a really great question. But if you could pull together the planning side and work with Chris to just prepare the initial plan. Here's in an ideal world, what we'd like to do. Then I'll meet with you again, we'll go over that, talk about, all right, how do we get the resources to make that really happen?
I personally think it's a really good idea, and I think it's an opportunity for us maybe to interact with schools in particular, to at least get an idea of, from the schools, how many students do have bikes or not. Maybe do a survey or something to see what's
That's,
going on.
It seems
That's-
like there's a lot of pieces though. Will they need somewhere to park the bike at school, and will they need someone to help them
Hmm.
maintain it? I mean, it could be giant.
I
You
think
know, one
both
of,
those are great. Frank, sorry.
I was just going to say one of my thoughts would be, and incorporating the police department, it'd be a nice program to have them teach bicycle safety, bicycle proficiency, and even bicycle maintenance. If we have the officers that are riding the bicycles in the downtown, it gives them a chance to teach the children safety, have them pass a test, and only after they pass a test, there's something. Let the kids put some sweat into it also, and then when they pass the test, that's one of the conditions for getting the bicycle, which is a win-win for the community too, because you got so many more skilled riders at a young age. But that incorporates using the police department if that's feasible. I think it's a good thing for them to, work with the children.
All great comments, all the kind of discussion that I hope this would stimulate. And I would hope you would take this on. Now, I don't expect something overnight. If, work on it for however long it takes to come up with a plan. And
That was my next question. When was the council looking at having this implemented?
well, to be fair, it hasn't gone to the full council. It was just
Okay.
one council member who saw a need in the community and raised it. And it was particularly aimed at low income families that couldn't afford a bike.
Okay.
$200 to a family is a lot of money. And is there a way that we can help? So I kind of blew it up into a bigger program of, every kid should have a bike. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I just encourage you to come together as a team and brainstorm these ideas and then make some decisions on your own. The timeline is up to you on when you'd like to have that next meeting. And I'll lead the funding efforts, because I know the people of various foundations, you may too, have some ideas where we could raise some money and get some bikes. But the first part is to kind of visualize how this might work and put that on paper, and then agree as a team, yes, this makes sense, and then we'll take it from there. I particularly like the school idea, because you're right. I think there's a lot of data that we can glean from the schools about current ridership, and are we meeting the needs of school age bike riders? I don't know. I think we do a lot of job talking to adult bike riders and commuters that like to ride their bike to work. I don't usually hear a lot from 15-year-olds about what's important to them.
I think one
Well,
barrier,
what do you think? Is this a project that we like to take on? I'm particularly excited about it, but I want to hear from, and I know Tommy sounds like, and so is Frank. But what about you, the other members?
I think I like the idea. I think the one barrier that has come up in a lot of meetings before is that we don't have local bike shops, at least within South City. It'd be a little bit of travel for folks to be able to go and get either supplies, accessories, or get something fixed. Makes me wonder whether or not, I know one of the things I've seen and have brought up before is there are some places that'll get like vans that come out and do like a day where they'll set up shop, and it's maybe a regular event where you can go and get your bike checked out. And maybe there's a place around the city, some public property, where they, could sort of be encouraged to come out and set up shop, like, each weekend or maybe once a month. But giving, like, I think part of the picture would be nice to have, here's bikes and here's also where you can go to get questions answered and to get things taken care of. I think that would really like complete the picture. And maybe doing it via a school would be a really good way to do that, because I imagine they could, park at the school grounds to not only hand the bikes out, but to sort of be like a regular resource for kids to come out and, oh, I want a new helmet, or I want some elbow pads or something. But I like the idea of targeting an age range, like influencing young folks. I mean, the broader you make it, now you have to get different size bikes, and it just kind of makes the program more complex. I feel like kind of like, starting somewhere with an achievable challenge, and then tackling that and then spreading it, I think is probably the good way to go to. But I'm enthused about it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and so many good ideas. I like the one where we make a rodeo at the Orange Park, and I think it'll be
Yeah.
hard to get it down into one plan, but
Sounds like we're on board, Mike.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave you to it. And Chris, just keep me updated. Again, I really appreciate your work. I'm very excited about the future of bike and pedestrian in South San Francisco. We're putting a lot into improving facilities and making it safer, and then encouraging people to take advantage of that. And I think they are more and more. So thank you for what you do. And I'm excited about this idea that we can make a difference in a child's life that frankly may have a huge impact on his whole life. So anyway, good luck with that. Nice seeing you all. And Chris, just keep me in the loop.
All
Will
right.
do.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Okay, bye.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Okay, and that was the agenda item for today. So the next is committee comments. Does anyone have a comment they'd like to bring up? Anything they've noticed in their part of the city that you think we should talk about or bring up as a discussion?
hi, I'm new to the committee. This is Arian. And I joined mostly because since the pandemic, my mom and I have started walking. She's 84. And the more I walk, the more I notice like the sidewalks are blocked and the crosswalks are blocked, and cars are parking where the implied crosswalk are. And it's hard when you're older to get over those things and around the cars. And do we ever, does our committee ever recommend, hey, could we have send out a flyer, hey, don't park in the crosswalks and don't park your car blocking the sidewalk? Or how does that work?
What part of the city do you live in?
I live here in Sunshine Gardens.
Okay. Chris, can you describe how, we can go about helping to reduce problems like those?
Is there already something in place that we should be following? And
Well, typically, that's usually unfortunately, we typically refer that as an enforcement issue. That's something that we would send our code enforcement, or even police to kind of ticket people. If that's something the BPAC wants to kind of like take on, to send out a flyer or things like that, you're very welcome to do that if you want to, if that's what BPAC wants to do.
It seems unneighborly to call the police to say,
no, I know, and that's the thing,
blocking the sidewalk.
Right, police and intervention and things like that. But that's sort of been a common occurrence that we do see, but it's not something BPAC has specifically tackled in terms of pedestrian safety. But it's
because it all is important, right? If you're a little 84-year-old lady who's a little wobbly, and you're it's, I know everyone here talks about biking, but I'm taking care of my mom.
And the issue that
do you think that the sidewalks in your area aren't wide enough for?
Oh no, they're wide enough. Just the cars are like, they're too long for their driveway and they stick out into them.
Okay.
Because usually, like, if we would field complaints about like safety, but it always falls on like it'll take like some time for like staff to then like look at it, and then usually
so just use the Engage. I've used the Engage SSF app before, so, and that's what I'll tell my neighbors too, is just keep sending the photos in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if we have enough of a record on somebody that that keeps doing that, like they have a vehicle that doesn't fit their their driveway, their uncovered driveway, then that's something that we can enforce. So that's the
Okay.
thing. It's like we need a history of these wrongdoings before we can actually act. So that's unfortunately
Okay.
like it's not a great answer to that.
No, no. Well, I assume my neighbors don't think about that they're not
Yeah.
thinking about, oh, we're all stuck at home for
Right.
at least through June 15th, right? So,
Right.
and then did anyone else go to those? Catherine had sent the seminar from the Sierra Club. Did anyone else go? And I'm hoping you went because Chris, you're in planning and it talked about sea level rise and
No, I'm sorry. I had a conflict, so I did not actually
oh,
attend. So tell me about it.
it was wonderful. I mean, even the assembly member Mullen was there and they talked about what's happening and how we can fix it instead of the hard cement walls, all the many options. It was three-hour things. I couldn't tell you everything I heard. But are we as a city making our bike trails and walking trails ready for that or?
There are specific interventions that are, one, we're looking at them through our general plan update. And at the same time, there's a host of other projects that I know Public Works engage in to kind of address like more like hotspots, like areas of concern for
Mhm.
sea level rise and kind of work back from there, like what is the most at risk and then kind of, branch out from there. So I know that we do address that.
Okay, wonderful. It's all so new to me. I'm learning so much. Thank you for letting me join the committee.
Of course. No.
Are there any other comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll move to staff comments.
Okay, so just wanted to jump back to the Bikes for All program, since that is something that BPAC is looking to do. I would suggest that for our next meeting in July, that we put that as one of their talking points. So spend the rest of this month kind of come up with questions. If there's anything kind of data related or it goes beyond our public works or engineering and planning, let me help you kind of like bridge that kind of gap. If we need to reach out to our schools to get some information, let me know so I can work through that before our next meeting in July. But start coming up with the parameters of this Bikes for All program, and then let's talk about it in our meeting in July. Does that sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then announcements, I just wanted to bring up Peninsula Clean Energy is providing up to $800 off the purchase price of an electric bike for income qualified residents in San Mateo County. You could visit pencleanenergy.com/ebikes, and I'll actually post that in our chat. Hang on, let me. Sorry, lost control of the Zoom. Don't worry, we've only been doing this for like a year plus. One moment. So I posted the website on the chat. So if you go to that, you'll see kind of like the parameters and kind of providers of e-bikes. And if you apply through this program, you could potentially get an $800 like rebate from purchasing an e-bike. I looked at one of the providers. You could basically get an e-bike for about $400 because they normally run up to about like normally around $1,200. So that's actually, if you're income qualified, you meet those parameters. It's actually a pretty good program to look into. And then finally, it's tangentially related to bicycle and pedestrians, but Samtrans staff will be hosting a community meeting at with the Friends of Old Town. They'll be at the corner of, oh my God, I don't remember where they're going to be. They'll be at Linden in California from 10 a.m. to noon. There'll be a lot of people there because that is also the site of a vaccination clinic this coming Saturday, June 5th, from I believe 10 a.m. to noon. So just to Samtrans staff will be there to discuss the upcoming alternatives for their Reimagine Samtrans project, which is going to, rethink some of the bus routes that run through the city of South San Francisco. So if you are interested, please be there. They will have that community meeting out on Saturday. That's June 5th.
That sounds great.
Yep.
Have they, I know that the new sidewalks on Linden in particular have been designed to accommodate bus routes or the buses. Has there been any feedback from Samtrans about that and their ability to get customers on and off the bus?
I believe so. If they've already been constructed, then Samtrans staff will likely have reviewed that as well. It's something that kind of goes hand in hand. Like I know Jeff Chow, like putting you on the spot, like there's no project that we would put on the ground and construct without consulting with anyone else who uses that street, including residents. And if there are bus routes there, Samtrans usually reviews the plans that we have for that. I think we did that for outdoor dining as well. So like for every installation that we had on Grand or Linden, we notified Samtrans about those installations.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. Yeah. If there's a CIP project or a city project that's interfering with like a bus stop or a shelter, yeah, Samtrans will definitely be involved.
And speaking of the outdoor dining projects, I mean, I've taken advantage of some outdoor dining in South City too, but how is that going to be a permanent thing, or are we still reviewing those?
We are working towards kind of evaluating the whole project and bringing something to City Council sometime in possibly mid-July. We're surveying our restaurants right now. It's not something that's meant to be there permanently, but just because it was a pandemic response. Like we wanted to help our businesses stay afloat, and with that June 15th, reopening of the entire state with less social distancing or whatever have you, I'm not convinced, but that there may potentially be less of a need for these spaces, but we are not mobilizing to shut them down as of this point, this point in time. Just we want to still give our businesses a little bit more time to, kind of catch up to what they lost during the pandemic, and work with them on kind of re-envisioning what these would look like. And if we are going to go for a more permanent program, like a parklet program, we need better aesthetics out of them. That's a nicer way to say it.
And the other thing is that some of them, I think, given the time, they had to put as many tables out as possible. But on some of them, they are kind of blocking the access, or limiting access to the walkways. And I'm a little concerned that, if we keep this up permanently, then, that's going to be a limitation that we're going to have to deal with.
Right.
Of course, I enjoy the outside dining, but maybe there's a different way we can configure it so that it doesn't block the driveway or the sidewalks in particular.
Right, exactly. And, if there were, a few of them that have kind of violated one of the core tenets, which is to keep a 5-foot minimum, path of travel for pedestrians on the sidewalk, then, let us know, because that's something we can enforce right now. So if there's a culprit there, send them to me.
Okay. All right. Is that all you have?
Yep, that was it.
Are there any other things that anyone would like to discuss? All right.
I'm definitely curious to I don't know, I suppose going forward as that stuff materializes, I'm definitely interested to hear where we go with it, because I know that I feel like it's changed in a positive direction to consume more space with just places for people to be instead of cars. I think like downtown, I mean, we have tons of parking on that street, and we have structures and that usually in my experience have accommodation and like there's lots of parking around in that downtown area, having all that space kind of be, I definitely understand the concern about sort of the actual walkways being blocked, because that's kind of a problem. But I think to the extent that businesses are kind of like, you know, mindful of that and sort of leverage the space responsibly, I feel like it could really make for a more lively downtown, like one that feels more welcoming and stuff. So I don't know, it's hard.
No, certainly. And once we kind of like reassess the program and workshop what the next phase of this would look like, we'll, of course, we brought that to BPAC before to, you know, get kind of like the buy-in, because we were affecting the pedestrian space as well. So, you know, we'll bring that back to you. Don't worry.
Cool.
Well, it seems like we've come to the end of the June meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can I interrupt right before?
Sorry.
Catherine here. So I have a little announcement to make. I have recently accepted a position with our Parks and Recreation Department as an admin too. So I am being shuffled clerking assignments. I'll be on the Cultural Arts Commission going forward. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to the committee. It's been a pleasure clerking. Thank you, Chris, for all of your support. And Michelle, who's on the call, Michelle Clary from Planning, she will be clerking going forward. So I just wanted to say, you know, a quick goodbye and thank you all. It's been a pleasure.
Well, you will be missed, but I'm glad you're not leaving the city. Good luck in your new
Me
position.
too. Thank you. Thanks, Natalie.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I will make a motion. This is Frank. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Frank. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. Have a great rest of this month.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.